Hello? And welcome to the Paper Soprano podcast, people. It's here. It's us. This is what we are. This is it, okay? Welcome to the podcast that we do not edit. This is it. Whatever happens, it happens and it stays in. I am your illustrious host, Heidi, and it is nice to see you back here. We've got a couple things to talk about today. And yeah, it's been a weird one so far, similar to yesterday. If you listened to yesterday's episode, things have just been a little bit strange these past couple of days. I can't speak for anybody else, but I am the type of person who, when I get into like a weird way, like not even like a weird mood, but just kind of like a weird energy, certain things, it sometimes it just feels like such a chore to take care of certain things and do things, even things that should be like enjoyable. So today I woke up this morning and it was one of those mornings, since I didn't have to go sing at church because we pre-recorded the services. It didn't really feel like Sunday. It didn't feel normal. I felt kind of strange. I also was feeling strange yesterday, so I went to bed at like an embarrassingly early time. Like, you might be thinking like, oh, Heidi, that's fine. Like, you probably went to bed at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like, that's super early, but, you're wrong. It was much earlier than that. I don't even really know what time it was, but it was definitely before 8 o'clock. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. And, so I woke up very early this morning, as one could expect, and tried to just, get things moving here. It's so difficult sometimes to just continue on, and not in like a dark way. Like, I am going through a lot, and we all are, but not in that way. I don't mean it like that, but it is sometimes difficult to just do what you need to do and then move on and do the next thing that you apparently need to do. And this morning I started my day listening to this, I guess you'd call it an episode. I don't really think it's a podcast per se, but it's through an app, my meditation app that I listen to. It's the Waking Up app with Sam Harris. I highly recommend if you are looking for a meditation app. There's some really, really excellent loving kindness meditations, and there was actually a Facebook group started by one of my old friends from high school, who there was like a 30-day thing. That's how I encountered the app in the first place. But the app is really good in terms of just really wholesome content and like just really, really good stuff. So whenever I'm feeling particularly, like I need some kind of, better outlook on life. I don't know. I look to this app, and it's very grounding and very sometimes scary, because it really does prompt you to like face yourself and not to get too like, sad about things, but sometimes that's pretty scary. So, but the podcast or little talking episode that they had was not like a meditation episode. It was more of just like a conversation about this guy who has this book about, I think it was something about like internet usage or like technology. I think it was technology. And the main takeaway that I took from it was this really interesting thing they were talking about called single tasking, and single tasking as opposed to multitasking. And that really struck a chord with me, thinking about the whole concept was that in multitasking, your brain is like constantly looking for something to do on top of doing something else. Like, obviously the definition of multitasking everybody understands, but the hidden dangers, I think, are in multitasking. It can kind of bring you into this state of, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's very perplexing to me because I totally can relate to it. But they were explaining it in a way that was like, single tasking is healthier for your brain in a way because it forces you to face boredom on a certain level. Like when you're multitasking, you feel super productive, right? You feel like you're amazing. You're drinking coffee and you're listening to music and you're also cleaning your room and you're also writing a paper and blah, 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 blah. You're also doing the dishes and listening to a podcast and there's also a record on. Like, it's all very relatable to me. Like, I literally do that. But when you're single tasking, your mind is being forced to deal with that discomfort and to deal with that, that feeling that you get when you are bored. And as humans, like, we are horribly afraid of boredom, which totally makes sense. We're very, like, knowledge-based beings. We're always hungry for more information. But it's not going to kill you. Boredom will not hurt you, and it, in most cases, just means that your like mind is restless, or you're looking for some other stimulation that may or may not help you, if that makes any sense. And they were connecting it back to technology and how we're constantly looking for that satisfaction, that dopamine rush of scrolling through something or opening up an Amazon page, or you're looking at buying something new, or you open up an article and you start reading it. But there's also a level of, it's never going to be enough, because you do all of those things, but then also you're doing other things at the same time. Like, you might have multiple tabs open, or you might be doing something and listening to something, or perhaps while you're doing it, you just kind of acknowledge that it's not good enough, or you perhaps have had enough and you don't even really consume the whole thing. You just stop halfway through the video, or you stop reading after you've read 3/4 of the article, or there's a bunch of different examples of this. So I thought that was really interesting, and today I really tried to challenge myself in multiple aspects of my day to engage in what I could understand as single tasking, which was rather uncomfortable for me, seeing as I am a big multitasker. But, I understand the sentiment. So when I was going about my day, I was actually practicing harmonica. If you know that I recently acquired a harmonica from my grandparents. My great-grandmother actually used to play harmonica, and I was gifted her beautiful 64 chromatica harmonica, and a chromatic. I don't know why I said chromatica. I think it's just regular old chromatic. But it's this beautiful, beautiful harmonica, and I was practicing it today. I am very bad. I just started playing, but I tried to really just, focus on doing that and nothing else for a little bit of time. Played a couple scales, tried to figure out some things. I watched a couple, tutorial online lessons, videos, kinds of things, people who give introductory lessons. And then for like a half an hour after that, I was able to play along, and I mean play along very badly. Do not get the wrong idea. It was very bad. But I played along with, actually it was weird. I played along with John Mayer playing some blues. He was, there was a bunch of videos of John Mayer playing the blues, and some of them were just jams and some of them were like concerts or whatever, but I was just kind of going back and forth and trying to be able to find like one or two notes that I could play on the harmonica while he was playing the blues. And it was nice because he was, you know, John Mayer is an excellent musician, and he is a phenomenal blues player, and I think that was really informative because he has a lot of ideas and just kind of has a great vocabulary, and I think that was fun for me to do. So I was really trying to focus on that when I was focusing on single tasking this morning. And then after that, I had a pretty good practice session for, I practiced Caro Nome a bit and had a good warm-up, was crushing it. Did a little bit of cleaning. Yeah, it just... It was interesting, and it came in waves. Like, I wasn't able to do the whole single tasking thing consistently all day. I acknowledged the fact when I just was getting so, whatever, anxious, bored, frustrated, whatever, and I just had to like stop and fall into bad habits again. It is what it is. I only just started trying to change these habits literally hours before. So I was like gentle with myself a little bit with that, but they also mentioned that like after you try to do this like single tasking thing, after you try to literally just do one thing and focus on it and really give your full attention to one particular task without anything else happening, then after that you should like do something clarifying, or you should like try and step outside or go for a walk or be in nature, or do something like take a shower, or like, you know what I mean? Excuse me, you know what I mean? I am disgusting. But I thought that was really interesting too, because after you do something like that, after you're so involved or invested in something, sometimes I think it is really nice to just have a reset activity where you're able to just, not immediately go back to the things that you're used to doing, like going on your phone or, working on your computer, or responding to emails. Like, having those like little moments of reset interspersed with the single tasking idea, I think is really important. So, yeah, I did a couple plant transplantation. I did a couple plant transplanting today. Like, I propagated, that's the word I'm looking for. Propagated some plants today. What else did I do? Oh my god, I've been doing dishes nonstop because I have tried to get more back into cooking. I've been neglecting my love for cooking, and I do love cooking, but girl, I hate doing the dishes. And guess what? I'm the only one here, so it's like ain't nobody else gonna do them except for me. So I did a bunch of dishes this morning. I did a couple other cleaning tasks. And yeah, I actually made this really amazing lunch. It was like little potatoes and like cut up really small, like probably in like fourths. Yes, like real small potatoes, and also smallly chopped. Those were the words I was gonna say. Like, what? Small little portions of Brussels sprouts as well. So potatoes and Brussels sprouts, and I also had some chopped onions and garlic and some fresh rosemary from my plant that I have here. And I roasted it all up in some vegan butter, and it was amazing. Literally so good. I also put a bunch of that Trader Joe's like everything bagel seasoning on it for some reason, because I didn't want to just put salt. And then I also put some sage on it. Very good. 10 out of 10. Thought you might want to know. So yeah, it's been an interesting day. And then just now, I really wanted to get outside because it is really nice outside, but also very frustrating because it's like 60 degrees and it's the middle of December. So it's a little troubling, but I was like, you know what? We're just going to go outside. So I actually walked all the way to Dunkin' Donuts and I got myself a coffee at like 3 p.m. So, oh my god, it's only 5 o'clock. I'm literally facing a window right now and it's like pitch black outside. So, it seems like 3 o'clock was a while ago because it is so dark, but it's only 4:59. But anyway, so I went for a walk. It was nice. The weather was really nice. Listened to some music on my walk. And yeah, so that's been pretty much my day, you guys. It's been a Sunday. You know what I mean? I hate Sundays. I don't know if it's just because I was like traumatized from like anxiety as a kid on Sunday. I hated the idea that I had to wake up the next day and do something, or the fact that I had to like waste my Sunday at church. Like my family all went to church and I just didn't like the idea of like having to waste time going there. And also the same day, like multiple hours would pass. Like you'd go to church at like noon and then multiple hours would go by, and then and by we I mean me and my sisters, were all enrolled in like religion classes as well. So like it would be this waiting game on Sunday. You'd go to church in the morning and then like wait around until like 5 p.m. and then you'd have to go to religion for a couple more hours. Oof, it was horrible. So I don't know if I hate Sundays because of that, but like I just don't like Sundays. I never really thought, like some people are like, oh my god, I love Sunday. It's like so calm and like, oh, it's just so beautiful. Like, just amazing, like pancakes in bed. I'm like, no. Sunday means work. Like, Sunday is when I work at church. And, like, Sunday is when I have to, like, get up on the weekends and do stuff and, like, go out and work at one of my jobs. And then the next day I have to wake up and go to, like, regular work. Like, all week work. So, it's like, Sundays are not my favorite, you guys. I don't know if anybody really likes Sundays. Like, does anybody like Sundays? I know some people do, but I think you're lying. Like, come on. You really like Sundays? There's literally a whole, like, term. The Sunday Scaries. Like, have you ever heard of it? It's real. And, like, there's a term because a lot of people feel, like, anxious on Sundays. Especially Sunday nights. Oh, my God. Disgusting. Like, oh, yuck. Yeah, I do not like Sundays, and they just have weird vibes, you know? Like, these are not the vibes, and I do not appreciate. Yeah, man. It has been a very strange weekend. This afternoon, it was really interesting to see that the Stony Brook music page was like, oh yeah, Messiah, we're doing Messiah, and like they were rebroadcasting last year's Messiah, which I didn't know they were rebroadcasting. I thought they were just gonna do like just the orchestra with masks or something, but I was like, oh cool, Messiah, wait a second, it's not time for Messiah, like what? Like it didn't make sense in my brain that it like was time in the calendar year for Messiah, which is like basically around Christmas time. But it definitely is, and it is disgusting and grossing me out that it's December, and this year feels so strange. And yeah, it's like, oof. I know people say this all the time, but it really, really, really is weird to think about December, like, in general. Like, I always get weird and sentimental about, like, the previous year in December. You know what I mean? And when the new year comes, it's like, ew, gross, 2021? Like, we have to, you know, oh my god, like, see you next year. Like, all those dumb things that everybody does around New Year. But, like, it is really strange, extra strange now, because I feel like we didn't even do anything this year. Like, we were just all in survival mode, which I don't blame the world at all, and I don't think that it's going to get significantly better anytime in, like, the immediate, like, next couple weeks, but I do have high hopes for, like, the next couple of months, But man, what a weird time. What a really strange time. And oh God, if you know me personally and you're listening to this, you know that I'm going through something that I am not necessarily comfortable talking about on the podcast just yet. I'm sure at some point down the road I probably will. But I'm going through some personal things, and it has been very difficult for me, and, kind of difficult to, like, not only just deal with it by myself, but also deal with it in the fact that, like, I don't have really anybody else physically around me right now to, like, help me. And by around me, I don't mean, like, living with someone. I mean, like, being able to go to school and, like, sit in a coffee shop and, like, all of those things, like seeing my friends and seeing people on a daily basis. Those kinds of things really do, matter. And man, if I've learned anything this year, which has been a lot of things, but if I have learned anything very specific, it has been that, like, those small interactions that are part of a bigger scheme of socializing are not to be taken lightly. And yeah, it's very strange. We had our, like, voice studio class party, I guess you could say. If you're a music student, you understand that when you have a teacher, that teacher teaches multiple people, and then all of those people are considered your studio. So we got together with my teacher and my studio mates on Zoom. And at first I was like, oh yeah, another Zoom class, blah, blah, blah. But then we all started talking about how it's like, oh, well, when we get back together, like, maybe we can have, like, some crackers and cheese and wine and stuff and have, like, a real get together. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. Like, it's just getting to the point where I'm, like, complacent with a Zoom meeting, And, like, I'm just accepting the fact that that's social interaction now. And I am just so excited for that to change, and I can't wait to just, I don't know, I cannot wait to go to a bar, and hang out, and go to a friend's house and have friends over here, and, like, I don't know, go into some place and walk around and not have to worry about making somebody uncomfortable because I'm going down the same way in the aisle as them, or going into a store and me being like, I really gotta get out of here, like, come on, there's a lot of people in here and gotta leave. Those kinds of things I really look forward to, and I know that everybody else feels the same way, and it's coming, it's a coming. But for now, all we're doing is just making it work, people. Like, I feel very strange today, so I hope that it's not coming across too much on the podcast. Like, you guys know, if you've been listening for any amount of time, or if you've heard any of the other podcasts, like, I'm not necessarily like this all the time. I'm just feeling kind of strange, and I'm super grateful that so many people are reaching out to me and one, wanting to be on the podcast, but also two, telling me how they appreciate, the conversations that we're having, the conversations that I'm having with myself here, but the conversations that we have with guests, and also just the general content. I am so grateful that I am able to use this podcast as kind of like a virtual diary, you know what I mean? Just keeping track of my emotions and my life, and just being able to express things and put things out into the world. Because if I didn't have this podcast, I would still be feeling weird today, might be feeling even weirder, but I wouldn't have talked necessarily about it like verbally. I would have definitely thought about it a lot, but I might not have spoken about it. So this podcast has been really helpful in that way. And if you're going through anything and you need someone to talk to, like, do reach out to me. I obviously love to chat, so I am more than willing to have a chat with you. And, you know, if you don't want to be a guest on the podcast, but you still want to have a chat, like, hit me up, girl. I'll still have a chat. And yeah, so thanks for listening, as always. I think we're gonna cut it off here, but if you do want to be on the podcast, do let me know. If you like the podcast and you want to support it, do subscribe to my YouTube channel here, and also give this video a like and share it if you feel so inclined. And yeah, maybe tell somebody about it. Give somebody a little heads up. Be like, yo, there's this person who's doing this weird podcast. Give it a listen. You know what I'm saying? We talk about life over here, and sometimes music. And, you know, we're just getting through it. So I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night whenever you are listening to this. And this has been the Paper Soprano podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.